Yeah, okay?
Yes, okay, yeah.
So I'll just repeat itself, that one bit. So whenever you're ready, Joe. What does it bring back to you, this record?
Yeah.
What does it remind you of?
Do you want to talk about it now? Or?
Yeah. Do you want to, if you mention it, and we.
Yeah, now I'll talk about it. Well, my dad used to sing that song, and he used to entertain it,
Did it?
the children at the parties,
Mm.
and he got himself a policeman's uniform and a policeman's helmet, and he used to go on the stage and stand as a policeman, and he used to do all the actions, and the children used to enjoy it thoroughly, you know. But Dad was a pub entertainer. He used to go around the pubs in Birmingham, you know, and clubs.
So when you hear that section,
it's just like seeing him standing on the stage in his uniform, and the children listen to him and laughing with him, you know.
Yeah. And where do you picture that scene? If I play it again and then you talk over the top.
Well, it brings back where we sat on the floor in the school hall, and Dad was on the stage singing to us and enjoying the atmosphere. Yeah.
And when you picture that school hall, are you sat cross-legged on the floor?
We would all be sitting on the floor, yeah, the whole school, you know, listening to the school parties and things, yeah. And like at Christmas time, he used to dress up as Father Christmas, so he liked entertaining people. Yeah.
But in particular, this song you associate with your father.
That's what brings it all back, yeah. Yeah.
So this is a good sound for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just do the same again. We'll listen to the next phonic memory, and that would be the bike sound. So I'll play the sound for a while, and then we'll leave it playing so you can talk about what it brings back to mind. So the laughing policeman memory was from which age?
Well, until I was at junior school, yeah.
Okay.
So they'll be up to 36. I joined the school and then up to, so it'll be 36, 40. 44, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the bike memory that we're going to have now is from the ages of...
My cycling was from it was 14 to 18, so that would be I'm a bit round today. 45 to can't be be 15. That's right, up to 15. Yeah.
So what we'll do, we'll play
18. Yeah.
Right. We'll play this sound again, and then, like we did before, just let the sound just play a little while, and then just describe what it's bringing back, what kind of memories it's bringing back.
This brings back the memory of cycling, and because it's of a steady tempo. It is when we're cycling on this flat ground, and it brings back as we've talked about racing. And all the memories of joining cycling clubs and the bikes that we had, and renovating to suit our own needs, and the thrill of racing between competitors. To win races, and we raced all round the Midlands, from Nuneaton right to various venues in the Black Country. But the main thing is you can visualise the motion of your legs on the pedals, propelling yourself along, and the freedom of movement. Yeah. Is that it?
Is there a very specific memory that it does, a specific incident that it brings back? Maybe that's strongest.
Well, as I say, my memory, because of the photographs I've got of the main last event that we did in the 1950 with the Licky Rock race. Yeah.
And what in particular do you remember about that race?
Well, the companionship, we had a good team between us, and my friend won the race. I came second to him, and the four of us, we won the team prizes. So the best of it.
But the strongest memory you mentioned about the sound of this going around is actually the physical. It reminds you of being physical and moving.
Especially when you're rising up the hill, because most of the courses have a long hill climb as part of the venue.
Okay. Thank you for that one. And the next one I wanted to play you as well is connected with the strong memory that you've talked about before, and that's your time during the training in an RF with the radar. So I'll play a sound again like we did before, related to that. And again, if you just have spend a little time just listening to it, reflecting on it, and then see what that brings out as well, Gerald.
Yeah, I can visualise sitting at the radar set and with the cathode tube in front of us, and the signal being played as a visual sound of the blimps as the sounds come through. The impulses were started from electrical start from the transmitter from the generator, and the pulses were sent through an aerial into the atmosphere, and as a signal for the planes to as a guidance, and the sound of the pulses were steady, and our job was to make sure that the pulses were at the correct sound and the correct aptitude. We had dials we had to manipulate to make sure that the signal was in the in the proper place, because it was calibrated at the bottom, and you had to make sure that the signal was in the correct place and the correct size before it was triggered from the aerial. And if we had a breakdown, we was allowed 2 minutes to change from the set that we was working on to standby set, and you were given 2 minutes to reset the pulse to be the correct sound, correct size and the correct calibration. And this was so that the pilot who received the signal in his cathode tube inside the plane could keep on the correct course. The radar had a limit of 500 miles, and our type of radar was called G, and it was used for as a direction for the navigator to keep the pilot and the plane on course, and it was used for the bombing of Berlin.
Well, there's a lot of information that came out there, wasn't it? When you hear that sound, you said you could see yourself sat in front of...
You can actually see the pulse on the radar screen.
So you're sat back at the station.
Yeah.
Now the last one that we're just going to listen to is the sound of the planes that you mentioned before.
Yeah.
And how that sound of the bomber, that rhythm, is never left your memory. And so, am I okay to play that one? Yeah. Let's see if I can find the... see if I can find the right one. There we go. Can you hear that okay?
It's a lot of interference.
Let me try a better one. It's because it's such an old recording, original recording.
Yeah.
What's
and of course
interesting?
I've got hearing aids in, so.
What's interesting, I think it's the this sound. Let me just press. Now, how old was you when this happened?
I'd be 1940, so I would be, there's the sound of the plane, I was the age 8 at the time, because the war started in 1937 and it was 1940, November 1940. And at the time, the German planes had tried to destroy the radar station, but they moved the bombers to bomb London and then started on Coventry. When the war started, Dad had to buy an air raid shelter. They were issued by Anderson, the MP, called Anderson Shelters. And when the bombing raid started, the families descended into the air raid shelters. And on November 1940, we was in the air raid shelters when they started bombing Coventry, and where we stayed, we could see the bombs exploding over Coventry, and we could hear the planes coming in a circular way, so they could come from and bomb Coventry and then return back south. And I remember standing on the air raid shelter, and it was that bad that the priest who used to live across the road, he came and we all joined there and watched the horrendous sight of the landmines exploding over Coventry. And this is up to Coventry is 15 to 20 miles away from where we lived at King's Standing. When that was for 3 nights they bombed Coventry, and then they started on Birmingham, and they carried on bombing for another 2 nights. And at this time, that's where they destroyed the water mains in Birmingham, and this caused the government to issue that we become all the children that agreed to be evacuated because of the fear of cholera. But of course the bombing raids didn't finish all the time. Birmingham suffered 71 missions of bombing by the German Luftwaffe, and there's a memorial cenotaph at the bottom of the steps in the bullring to record and remember all the casualties during the bombing raids. My father joined the Home Guard, and he looked after the ICO, and any incendiaries, helped to destroy the incendiaries. And my mother joined the ambulance service, and during the bombing raid she helped to carry the injured to the general hospital. We stayed away from Birmingham for about 6 months until the initial bombings were over and they repaired the water mains. How's that?
So Gerald, I just wanted to ask you, the tests that we've been doing with the sounds associated with your memories, when we've been playing them back, has that helped you recall these memories?
It definitely helps record memories. It's like watching if you're watching the television without any sound, and difficult to play, but when you turn the sound up, it makes it all more visual, that its actual sound matches the actual scenes that are on the television.
And how has it made you feel being part of this project?
Well, it also brings back the memories, the horrors of war, and on the other sounds where you're delighted and lifts the spirit, and especially the laughing policeman, where it's a jovial sound, so it lifts your spirit that way. And going back to early days, it brings back the emotions that bring it to life.
I noticed when we were listening to the laughing policeman, it was quite a strong emotional sound for you, that wasn't it?
Yeah.
It made you think of your family and your past, your childhood. And how did you feel when you was listening to that sound?
Oh yeah, it brings you back and makes you feel uplifting. Yeah.
And that feeling of being uplifted, will that carry on maybe throughout the day, or does it make you feel better to be part of this process?
Oh, it's like, well, when you got a dull day, you feel a bit depressed, but when you get when the sun comes out, you think, oh, I've been delighted.
Yeah. So these sounds are a little bit like sunshine on a grey day for you, going through this process. Well, thank you very much for helping me with my studies and my research, Gerald. Going back to the laughing policeman loop that we heard, Gerald, you've not heard that piece of music for 60 years. When you heard it, what was the impression it gave you?
Well, it brings me up the images of us sitting in the school hall with Dad singing the song to us and entertain the children. That's where it brings you back, mainly, yeah. So
instantaneously you're brought back to that time?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So you travelled back to the time when you was 6 years old, was it 6 or 7?
Any time between between the ages of 4 till I stayed as the kids standing till age 10, so it'd be 6 years, wouldn't it be? Yeah, through the juniors until I moved to the junior school. It was infant school, junior school, before I moved to the junior school, the senior school. Yeah. So if you can bring sound into it, it makes it more realistic. you know, if you're reading about the battle of history, I'm into history, and it brings it back. And if you've got a sound that can be related to it, it makes it all more realistic. It isn't just somebody's vision. It is something real. Yeah.
So it makes your memories more real and
More
closer
realistic.
to you.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
What does that sound bring back?
Well, it's partly part of the equipment that you've got on the bike, and to inform other people that you're because cycling quite noiseless. It's not like having a car or engine. You only got the sound of the chain on the sprockets, but this is to warn people of the oncoming cyclists.
Does it bring to mind a specific incident, that bell sound?
Oh yeah, it's part of the equipment of the bike, yeah.
And is there a particular memory especially associated with the bell sound for yourself?
Well, when travelling I used to use my bike to go to school and into town, and you used all that to warn people of coming cyclists.
So mind you've got that journey to
Yeah.
school. What age was you at that time?
Well, I used my bike from the age of 13 to 15. I was at Handsworth Junior Tech.
Can we hear it one more time, the bell?
Yeah.